Yeah, so thank you very much for the invitation to this very interesting online discussion. Not only because this is a great panel of experts, but also because the audience is so rich in experience, and I had the chance already to chat with some of you, and I'm really impressed about the expertise sitting out there. Yeah, I hope that some of the things I will talk about now briefly are relevant for you. I want to share my work on two projects which are related to our topic, which were already mentioned in the introduction. The first is an EU-funded Horizon 2020 project, a collaborative research and innovation action project, Visual History of the Holocaust, Rethinking Curation in the Digital Age. We are part of the consortium, me and my team, and I'm also very happy that that my co-researchers are in the audience. And the second is my current research on digital Holocaust memory in the wake of COVID-19. So I want to present you some of the preliminary results also for that project. The first project deals with some of the, or departs from some of the most pressing questions which were already raised in several talks. So the question, how can we engage such a complex and complicated topic as the history of the Holocaust? And the basic starting point here is that we want in this project to honor the historical sources, so to say, and to find pathways through the archive of a quantity of visual textual document sources that can gain us access in a similar way like it was presented with the historical sites. But the question is, of course, how to organize these sources and how to create a multi-layered visual memory that meets this complexity I was talking about. And how to find ways not only to preserve and analyze this material, but also to communicate the historical evidence of the Holocaust in the digital age, which brings us especially also to our focus on curation. The basic elements of the basic material of the project are the filmic records produced by the Allies when discovering Nazi concentration camps and other atrocity sites. These films will be digitized, or digital copies will collected all over the world. And then we want to create, or we are currently already creating, automated analysis tools in order to deal with moving images and text, to be able to do time-based annotation and location-based annotation, and make it available online through a multimodal platform that allows forms of kind of accessing this material in the way of viewing it, but also in the way of actively participating in the curation, or contributing to the curation in the sense of co-creation, so to say. The project started last year in January 2019, and it contains 13 international partners from Austria, Germany, Israel, and France, as well as several cooperation partner institutions, mainly archives in the United States, Great Britain, Russia, and other former Soviet republics. The main idea is that we want to, of course, building on the expertise which is already existing with other digital platforms, we want to find ways of interconnecting different sources. In our case, liberation footage with historical documents that can be related to it and give us more information about the context of the filming, but also the historical context of the events, with testimonies, but also to relate this footage to popular culture representations in films, in graphic novels, in artworks, and thereby get an idea about how this footage shaped the visual memory of the Holocaust. The basic element for that is that we want to create a model of multimodal curating, which offers the users different ways of accessing the material, either mainly through a viewing mode by just exploring the archive and getting a first glimpse of this footage and related materials which are pre-curated for these first-time users, but also, of course, to offer here different ways of researching and also using the material both for research purposes, but also for media productions. So addressing also professionals with this, and also to offer ways of collaboration, especially through shared workspaces that allow also research groups or other collaborative projects to use this, this platform. And we are also teaming up with several memorial sites, among them also the Dachau Memorial Site. I saw that some of the from the audience are working at Dachau in various departments. So the idea is also to make this content accessible on site from the memorials or other atrocity sites through mobile devices, and thereby accessing this repository. The second project, which I want to briefly introduce, is my research on digital Holocaust memory in the wake of COVID-19. This, of course, started because I was quite interested in getting a better idea about the richness of digital Holocaust memory, which appeared in the last decades already. What I found very interesting, what happened in the last month, was that while digital Holocaust memory before was mainly focusing on prestigious projects, on very innovative technologies, now suddenly social media became much more a field of addressing and accessing the memory of the Holocaust online, due to the restrictions following the COVID-19 measures, and developing new ways of commemorating from home. And you see here several projects from various memorials, Yad Vashem, Neuengamme Memorial, Dachau, Mauthausen. Some of these projects, like the Liberation virtual tour, and also the Anne Frank video diary, of course, were already prepared before the COVID-19 outbreak, but of course it gained a kind of different status due to the pandemic. So my first question was, of course, why did this become relevant? And I think there are three factors. First of all, of course, the pandemic immediately affected the memorial sites, which we see today as a very, very important medium in order to accessing the past, to establish a resonant contact to the history of the Holocaust, because these sites had to close due to the COVID-19 restrictions and social distancing directives and so on. Second, the pandemic was also particularly affecting the generation of the last survivors, and thereby also another very essential element of Holocaust memory. The witnesses that also are the kind of gatekeepers of this memory. And because their generation was mainly affected by COVID-19 and also restricted to stay at home, this also, I think, played a role. And the third reason was, of course, that the 75th anniversary of the liberation of many atrocity sites and former concentration camps coincided with the peak of the pandemic restrictions. So the first thing was that I did some analysis of the projects that that were launched during that time, and similar, like it was already introduced, try to find out what is how do they use and utilize analog forms of commemoration, like, for example, the conversation with survivors, and transfer them into the digital environments, or how were established rituals of Holocaust commemoration, like for example, reading of names transformed through hashtags into a virtual commemoration practice, or how far did memorials really kind of look for ways of transitioning Holocaust memory into the digital. The second was that we started a survey and asked memorials how they coped with the situation. So this survey is ongoing, and I hope that we will have results soon. And the third aspect was that we did a collection of projects that were made during the pandemic. Here also I'm very happy to team up with Victoria in order to maybe enhance this and also to preserve these many projects. So we have currently a database of 63 digital Holocaust memory projects, and here you see some of the first data, which is not so representative, especially because we mainly focused on collecting new projects and still have to add more of those who were already there before, but also the projects we were looking in, which were existing before COVID-19 and which were offered also for distance commemoration and learning. We focused only on those available and accessible online. And you see, nevertheless, that there is really an increase in digital activity since the start of the COVID-19 restrictions. And while before it was mainly the websites of the memorials that were used in order to communicate digital content, we see now really a variety of many platforms. Of course, the websites are still important, but especially the Zoom, of course, became very, very relevant as a communication tool for example, conversations with survivors, but also for lectures, for virtual tours. And very interesting also is the rise of YouTube and Instagram in this context. Especially Instagram became a very important platform for memorials to present themselves and to create access when audience were not able to visit the actual sites. This also led to a variety of digital formats that were used. Some of them, of course, transferring, so to say, existing modes of commemoration into the digital world, like online exhibitions, web talks, webinars, but also attempts to create virtual memorials and to offer virtual tours through the memorial sites. Yeah, so this is just a short glimpse into our preliminary results, and you can also see, of course, but from the number of digital projects, and here I really have to thank a lot my research assistant Tom, who's also in the audience, that he helped me with this chart. You really see that there is an increase due to the social distancing measures and the commemoration events due to the 75th anniversary of the liberation in April. We assume that, that definitely the new normal will see nevertheless an increase of the number of digital projects from before. And I also think that especially social media will become a much more accepted platform also for memorials. And this is something maybe we can discuss further than it was before because of all the kind of concerns that were already raised about historical accuracy, about lacking standards and norms and so on. But I think by doing and by just becoming active, by doing memory on social media, we have now really a very interesting set of new forms of digital commemoration that will be the basis for creating the standards for the new normal. So if you want to read some of this, I already wrote this in some ideas in a short blog post during my fellowship at the EVM. And I'm really looking forward to our discussion, and I would love also to get in contact with you and share research results. Thank you.